Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci-Traders.com here, back in China, month and a half in Thailand, Kopangan, resetting my mindset, tweaking a little bit my strategies, going strong forward 2023. We had a great week. Interesting FOMC, interesting earnings on Apple, Amazon, Meta, Google, and all the rest of the big names. So please hit the like, subscribe, and let's see the charts. We will check and go over SPY, Q, Dow Jones, IWM, Apple, and many more names. We will check them on the right side weekly chart, on the left side daily chart. Always zoom in, zoom out to get a better point of view on price action. And if we check the SPY on the weekly, we can see second week in a row continuation above this yellow trend line, in my opinion. 425 and maybe even 445 are the next major resistance for price action. And if you're a pattern trader, you can see inverted head and shoulders in the making. We need a break above the 425, but as you know, Fibonacci traders, we don't follow patterns, we follow price and use levels and trend lines to manage risk. And if we zoom in to the daily, we can see a gap at the 421. And as we know, more than 80% of all gaps will get filled throughout time. And now we can take swing low, swing high. We can do also all the way to here. And we see Fibonacci 419 and 421 is the next major resistance on the daily. 410, 409 needs to hold. Otherwise, SPY will go back and retest this yellow trend line once again as support. QQQ, weekly on the right side, daily on the left side. QQQ, strong bounce since January low on the 260 area. Now 317 on the upside will be a very strong resistance for bulls, but we can see here double top scenario breaking above the 295. Let's see continuation all the way to 334. And on the daily, we do have here a slight gap to the downside at the 303. So let's see this gap getting filled, and the sooner the better, then price can continue towards the 335. Dow Jones weekly, easing the noise from the daily, we can see a sideways move with 333 is holding as support, 345 as resistance. And if we zoom in on the daily, we can see here lower highs, higher lows. Price on the Dow is getting tighter and tighter. Prepare for both sides, because price can go lower and break to the downside, or can break to the upside. Either way, we take Fibonacci, swing low, swing high, and now we have all the levels of support or resistance into the future. IWM, very strong bullish sentiment on the IWM with 198, 200 level as resistance. And if you are following me on Twitter and here on YouTube, you can see and you will see that we don't change the levels. These levels are with us since few weeks ago, and now 200 area is a very strong resistance because it was a very important support. And also here August 2022 was resistance, breaking up and above 208 and maybe even 223 are the next major resistance for the bulls on the weekly. And if we take the daily, this red trend line, if and when price will reach this trend line, this red trend line will act as resistance because it was support resistance, and now it will become once again resistance. AAPL, very strong break up and above this orange channel within a channel, and now let's see continuation towards this upper white trend line. And if we zoom in to the daily, we can see 160 now is the level that we need to break up and above. Breaking up and above, 165 and 170 are next. AMD finally breaking up above and closing a very strong week post earnings. Now with this higher low and higher high, we can take Fibonacci on the weekly, swing low, swing high, or you can do it like this. Depends on the time frame that you are trading. Either way, Fibonacci levels help us to identify major support and resistance to the future. So 95 on the weekly, and on the daily we can take Fibonacci swing low, swing high. We can see that on the daily 91 and then 100 to the upside. Nvidia, let's start with the daily. We can see, and again, if you're following me on Twitter, you know these trend lines. If you're not following me on Twitter yet, please make sure you do, because I post daily actionable setups for day trading and for swing trading. Check the links below. You are more than welcome to join Fibonacci-Traders Discord. And these trend lines are a great example for how and why trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. These trend lines goes with us since December 2022. We drew them, and now we are following price bouncing inside these trend lines. And on the weekly we can see 220 is the next resistance for price. Breaking up and above, we have here this small gap at the 230 that will get filled, 80% chance. Netflix continuing inside this uptrend channel, and this channel is holding, and Netflix is in an uptrend until proven otherwise. And if we zoom into the daily, you all know this trend line, and here we are. Trend line is holding as a very strong resistance each and every time Netflix bulls tries to break above it. This trend line holds as a strong resistance. Now we can take Fibonacci swing low, swing high. We get resistance to the future and potential support to the future. We do have here 323 gap to the downside, and once again more than 80% of all gaps will get filled throughout time. So the sooner this gap will get filled is better for the bulls. Next is Shopify. Shopify finally breaking above and closing a week above the 49.50 area. And now let's see this pattern, inverted head and shoulders. Let's see if patterns are reliable. If they do, 80 is next. But Fibonacci traders, we don't rely on patterns. We follow price and managing risk according to the levels. And now the risk is 49.60, and we have this potential gap to the downside at the 41. So let's see when and if this gap will get filled. And on the daily we can see trend line that came from resistance now acting as support. Amazon post earnings, gap up at the same area. It went gap down last October. This is the gap up, and after earnings, gap to the downside, and now this gap is officially closed. Now let's see Amazon on the weekly. This gap is closed. We can see break up, breaking down. I assume that this orange trend line will get retested as support because it was a strong resistance. So Amazon for now, for me, I'm staying on the sidelines. I want to see where price will take us on Amazon, and then we will decide what to do, if to take any position on Amazon. And Microsoft barely closing above this yellow trend line that came all the way from November 2021, and each and every time price reached it, it got rejected. Now let's see continuation to the upside, and we have a double bottom scenario on Microsoft. Let's see continuation above the 267 only by looking left. We don't really need any other indicators. We don't really need even Fibonacci. We can look where price is now, where it was a few days ago. Looking left, why price came all the way here and went back down. One reason and one reason only, because the 264 area is a very strong resistance for price. If you want, we can do Fibonacci swing low, swing high, 260, or we can go even higher, 272, 260, depends on which time frame you are trading. On the daily, we do have here a gap to the downside on this trend line, so we need this gap to get filled and this trend line to hold and maybe bounce back to the upside. We take Fibonacci swing low, swing high, so we can see 264, as we said, 264, here we are, to the downside 254 as support, needs to hold, and it will close this gap, 264 to the upside, and then we have 278, and we have this gap over here at the 284. Always look left, zoom in, zoom out, multi-time frames. This is the only way to really understand in-depth candlestick analysis. Tesla with a doji on the 178 area, strong break above and out this downtrend channel. Now 204 is the very strong resistance to price. Look left, support, resistance, support and resistance. So 204 will be a very tough one, and this 204 is the 618 retracement level from this downtrend, retracement, 618, and the 618, the golden ratio, Fibonacci golden ratio, is a very interesting area. Closing above it, and in my opinion, this red trend line will be next. TAN, another great example of why trend lines are the true support for price action. Once again, price broke above, but failed to close above, and now once again this white trend line that started over January of 2021, each and every time price reached, tried to break up and above, this trend line threw price back to the downside. So until we will have at least 1 week closing above this white trend line, no position for me. And if we go zooming in to the daily, we can see that on the daily this 84 area is a very strong resistance, very important level of resistance. All we need to do is draw one line here, looking left, and we can see this 84 area, very strong resistance for price. Now we have a double top scenario. Price needs to hold 78 as support, because breaking down and under, in my opinion, this gap here at the 74 will get filled. XHB, another ETF that I'm following in the past several weeks. You can check previous videos and on my Twitter, and finally breaking above the 70 area, 70.4 area. Very strong sentiment on the XHB. Maybe we will get some kind of a pullback, maybe all the way to 68. Let's see where price will take us. But XHB, the home builders ETF, looking very good. And on the daily, we can take Fibonacci swing low, swing high, and now on the daily we have all the levels to the downside and all the levels as future resistance for the upside. Bitcoin weekly, looks like Bitcoin is getting weaker and weaker. The bulls of Bitcoin are getting weaker and weaker. We might get some kind of a pullback towards the 21,600 to retest this area as support, because it was a very strong resistance. And on the daily we can see that now we take, this is recent high, recent low, and now we have 24,300 to the upside and 22,300 to the downside, and all the rest of the levels to the upside and to the downside, and a trend line as major resistance for price action. We can do like this, a little bit more accurate. And don't forget, this is only technical analysis, this is not science rocket. And of course, everything you see and hear on this video and on other videos on my channel is for educational purposes only. This is not an advice to take any position, trading or investing of any kind. Ethereum on the weekly 1680 is a very strong resistance for Ethereum bulls. We can clearly see 3 weeks in a row failing to break up and above and closing. And if we look left, also during October of 2022, and over here it was support. So every level from support to resistance, and on the daily breaking above this orange trend line. But we can see clearly 1680, 1670 is a very strong resistance for Ethereum. Let's see where Ethereum will take us to the upside towards 1885 or back to the downside towards 1520. Let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm very interesting to hear. Share your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because as you can see, my how-to playlist is getting bigger and bigger. More videos will come in the near future. 16 videos for now, 20 minutes or less, on how to improve our trading skills on the technical side and on the mental side. So until the next video, stay safe.